Welcome back, Orlando. I just, you touched on the 501c4 and how you've helping the Latino conservatives. What about the next generation of Latinos?
Well, we're confident, and the polls show this. And let me just say that the Latino community is no different than the Irish immigrants that came here decades ago, or the Italian immigrants. They all acculturate. They become part of America, and Latinos are no different. They're becoming just Americans like the rest of us,
Absolutely.
very patriotic and willing to serve this country. And there's no better evidence of that. If you go down to the South Texas and you look at the Border Patrol agents, it looks like about 65% of them are Hispanic.
Exactly.
The DPS officers sent down to protect our border are Hispanic. Our military is full of Hispanics serving our country. So they're just like every other immigrant group. They just want to be Americans. But we, for the next generation, we realize that we have a sizable immigrant community in this country and in this city. And one of the things that we're going to do is we're working with the Republican National Committee. We're going to hold citizenship classes, the civic classes.
Wow, that is amazing.
And then our PAC will help them by providing some attorneys to answer simple questions. We will provide them fingerprinting, and we'll provide them photographs so they can prepare their application for citizenship. These are legal immigrants that went through the process legally and are eligible to become U.S. citizens. So we're encouraged about that. We're also forming what we call Texas Latino Conservatives Pastors, and it's an organization of pastors that are going to go across the state and encourage the Latino community and the leadership of the church to get involved civically. A lot of churches in the Latino community don't show the Hispanic community why it's important to participate in an election. It determines your schools and determines the quality of your lifestyle in your community, and you get to elect your own representative. So we're hoping that we can encourage the Christian community, which is sizable among Hispanics, to participate politically. And, of course, one of the exciting things that we did last legislative session, we went to the Texas legislature and asked them to pass a resolution, which the governor signed, making April 4th every year Tejano Day in Texas, honoring the contributions that Tejanos made. Tejanos declared Texas independent from Mexico in 1813. 1813, that was many years before the actual Declaration of Independence signed at Washington on the Brazos in 1836. And it received bipartisan support. Both chambers passed it. The governor signed it. And so now we have Tejano Day in Texas, honoring the contributions of Tejanos, which are mostly Mexican Americans, but they're people from other countries. So Texas is a culturally rich state with a tremendous history, and we're just glad that we can encourage the Latino community to vote their values, which, as we all know, are conservative values.
And I know you have a couple events coming up. You don't have dates on those, but you'll post them on your website.
We will post them on the website.
We'll
It's
get the word out.
TexasLatinoConservatives.com. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, my cell number is 832-521-1962, 832-521-1962.
So once those events, we get dates on it, we'll maybe have Bill announce them on another show. One thing that, I remember as you were in office, you really fought really hard for the firemen. And just can you just tell us a brief story? I know you wanted to make it mandatory that at least 4 firefighters were in the truck for their safety.
Yeah, so when I was running for mayor, one of the big issues in Houston was that for whatever reason, the mayor was at odds with the Houston Fire Department. And, we were starting then to experience some financial difficulties. And as a matter of cost savings, they decided to put 3 firefighters on a pumper truck. Well, that's unsafe because one of them has to stay with the truck, meaning the chauffeur. That meant that you only had 2 firefighters to go into a building, and I advocated that we needed a minimum of 4 firefighters on a truck. Tragically, there was a fire at one of the high-rises in the Galleria, and Captain Yankee, a storied firefighting family from Houston, whose grandfather, father, the captain himself, they've all been firefighters. he entered the Four-Leaf Towers, and unfortunately, he lost his way and was killed. And that was a result.
He was by himself?
I remember that.
He was separated. They didn't have enough staffing, and that just became a huge issue, which propelled my campaign to the very top, highlighting public safety. Not too dissimilar from what we're experiencing now in Harris County. The crime wave is absolutely phenomenal. We were one of the safest counties prior to 2018 when Republicans ran the county. And in 2018, practically every elected judge in the state district courts that hear criminal cases are Democrats. And they started putting people out on personal recognizance bonds, low bonds, no bonds. And as you saw the other day, a off-duty peace officer was killed on his way home from buying dinner for his family.
Oh, my goodness.
But the alleged murderers were out on bond for previous murders. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I can't help but not quote our pastor, Dr. Young. Throw the bums out. I'm going to say that. That may not be his exact words, but it's time, and it's time for a change. I'm going to say that. There's no doubt about it. So
I admire his leadership for
Dr. Young?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've known Dr. Young for years.
Awesome.
He's a jewel of a human being, but it takes courage for a pastor to get involved in civic affairs. Most pastors will not do it, and we lose our way. I remember in the 80s when Ronald Reagan was running for office, there was a young man who created what was called the Christian Coalition and helped Ronald Reagan win the presidency. And ever since then, we had conservative leadership, and it was going well. But the same thing happened in Harris County. We had conservative judges who believed that the public needed to be defended, that bonds were a way to assure that accused would have their day in court and actually show up. Now they don't even bother to show up. And so the backlog is tremendous. The murder rate is through the roof. And it's time that we bring back some law and order to Harris County.
Yeah. Indeed. Orlando, one of the other things I do want to say as I'm thinking about this, when I heard when Judine said you were going to be on the show, she said the name, bam, there's the name recognition. So when you ran for mayor those times and all your other work in politics, man, your name, and that's serving you today, the power of, I would say, branding and the work that we do previously in life, that's really helping you today and also helping your organization, I'm imagining.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, having name ID is very important in politics. You know, I tell the people all the time, why do you think Coca-Cola advertises all the time? Everybody knows.
Never stop.
They never stop. Everybody knows what Coca-Cola is, but it's branding, and branding is very important. That's why politicians have to spend money to run commercials to build their name identification.
You know,
Coca-Cola's stock went down when they got a little political.
Okay, but what I'm thinking of, can you imagine being in the Coca-Cola meetings where maybe 20, 30 years ago someone said, well, look, everyone already knows us. Why should we spend these millions of dollars? Because they ended up doing the right thing for their company. It was smart. Keep the message. Repetition is so important.
Absolutely.
I want to say this. You're in super shape, Orlando. Let's tell people, other than all the things you're doing politically and in your career, how do you stay in shape and keep some kind of a balance in terms of all the great things that you could capture in life?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head by saying balance. Life is about balance. It's about family. It's about having spiritual well-being. It's about having good health. It's about living a lifestyle that doesn't cause you to have problems. You know, too often people engage in activities that may not be harmful immediately, but then 15 years later you wonder, maybe I shouldn't have been drinking a gallon of booze or wine every day.
Or eating that cheesecake.
Or maybe I should have gone to I should have gone to Memorial Park and walked the loop. So, yeah, I mean, I love the outdoors. I love to hike. I love to cycle. I own a motorcycle. I take it up to I have a second home in Montana, Bill.
I was just going to ask you about Montana, so you took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, so I found
a
place up there, and I took my Harley Davidson up there, and I really enjoy riding up and down the Yellowstone River.
Talk about
beautiful?
Scenery.
Yeah.
My husband loves it as well. He loves taking photographs of wildlife, and he's been on several expeditions up there where he's horseback ride up into the mountains and spent the night and cooked out. And so he's done a lot of those things. He loves it too.
Yeah.
Man, what a scene you just set there, Judine.
I know, it's just gorgeous.
The mountains and, oh, man.
Nice and cool.
Well, we tell
Low
people
humidity.
in Montana doesn't like change, and unfortunately, Montana real estate prices are being driven through the roof, as
Because
are
of
Texas.
Yellowstone, the movie.
Well, not only Yellowstone, the movie, but because people from California are fleeing California and going to states like Montana and Texas. And, we like to say that Montana's full, even though the population of Montana.
We're full.
The population of Montana is less than the population of the city of Houston.
Wow.
Well, just a side note, one of the things I do when I look at YouTube videos, I'm somehow focused because I love the beauty of California. I used to go there all the time. It's a shame what's happened there. But I end up watching these YouTube videos about people leaving California and why. There's many reasons, but one of the financial reasons you could take, let's say someone makes $5 million. You're a high earner, you make $5 million. On Forbes.com, there's a calculator with all the states. $5 million, you're paying more than 50% in taxes. So let's say you earn $100,000. It's about the same thing. That's just one of the many reasons.
But that's right. That's one of the many reasons. But, for example, California said that you can no longer drive a gas-powered
And that
automobile. And then they ran out of electricity the other day. They had to go hat in hand begging to North Dakota for some electricity. I mean, these people have gone off the rails.
Well, we have about 3-4 minutes left. Judine,
I would like to
what else
ask you
do we
one
wanna know?
question. Would you ever run for mayor again?
Never say never.
Good. Good.
I
Well, we hope you do.
I love this city. I think it has tremendous potential. Houston could be the hub of Latin American trade. It is certainly the energy capital of the world. This city has so much to offer. But it's sad to see that, we have a shortage of police officers. Our criminal justice system is going down the tubes. Our infrastructure and deferred maintenance in the city is hurting neighborhoods. We have streets that are, look like third world country streets. I mean, these are things that the government ought to be spending money on, and not the frivolity that City Hall has engaged in. I mean, there is such a waste of money, of taxpayer money, and so I think we need to get back to the basics. So never say never. I love the city. I'd love my time my life has been about service. I served in the United States Air Force. I was a volunteer EMT. I, ran for public office, and so I love serving. I'm chairman of the University of Houston Foundation Board of Trustees. I love giving back. This has been a great country. I tell people all the time, had I not immigrated to Houston, I'd be chopping sugar cane for the Castro brothers in Cuba.
Well, as long as I can remember, there's been a Democrat in office for mayor here. So, and that just goes way back. I don't think that that's changed in all the years that I've been involved in politics.
No, but I tell you, people are becoming more attuned that it's not about it's not a matter
I wish
of
that people would stop that.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, you have to pick a team. You can't play for the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans. So
Right.
pick a team. I picked the red shirt team, which is the conservative team, the
Just
Republicans.
stands for more of your values.
But the city is experiencing a phenomenal Hispanic growth, and Hispanics are starting to exercise their right to vote, and their philosophy is more conservative. So Rudy Giuliani was elected in the most democratic,
That's true.
liberal city in America.
That's
So
true.
if it can happen in New York,
It can happen anywhere.
certainly can happen in Houston.
I also want to say thank you for your military service. If anyone's listening
Absolutely.
that is serving in the military now or has served, we appreciate you. First responders as well. That's such an important thing.
And our Border Patrol. Those guys do a
Absolutely.
great job.
Right
Yes.
here in Texas.
All men
What
in
a
uniform.
crazy job that is. They're doing tremendous work. Before we close the show, we want to remind people, Judine, as our show partner and founder of Texas Floor Covering, you're helping commercial spaces put floors right there. You've you've put floors in the Minute Maid, all sorts of big, medium, all those things. Texas Floor Covering, you're doing tremendous work, Judine.
We have some wonderful clients. So, yeah, Minute Maid and Toyota and Transwestern, as you just heard with Michelle.
And let's tell people your website so they can reach out to you if they need commercial flooring.
It's TexasFloorCovering.com. It's TexasFloorCovering.com.
What else before we close the show, Judine?
I want to leave that last minute for Orlando.
Well, I urge everyone that's listening. People say that a vote doesn't matter. It certainly does.
Absolutely
The
does.
first time I got elected, I won by 114 votes.
Wow.
So a
believe
vote
it?
does matter. It makes a difference. I know people get excited about voting for the presidential elections every 4 years, but I ask people all the time, when was the last time the president responded to your 911 call or picked up your garbage can or repaired your street
Yes.
or taught your child? And so, yes, national elections are important, but it's the local elections. And what happens is when good people, don't go out to vote, we get the results we're experiencing in Harris County. Look at our judicial system. The courts are a nightmare. They're churning out violent criminals to repeat offenses that are hurting law-abiding, tax-paying citizens.
Orlando, let's tell people your website again before we close.
TexasLatinoConservatives.com. TexasLatinoConservatives.com.
TLC.
TLC. People can't forget that. Thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Judine, and thank you all for listening to Successful Living with Bill Nampick. And today, with Judine Deacle, Orlando Sanchez, and Michelle
Wogan.
There you go. Teamwork, right, Judine?
Yes.
We'll see you next week. And also, you can go to, if you want to see the show, the YouTube video, what's going on in the studio, simply go to radiobill.net. Radiobill.net. That's radiobill.net. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.